Okay, we are in a disco. So let's get super cosmic. And I have your intuitive cocktail for April 2nd. So let's see. What do I have for you? Ooh. All right. 7 of Pentacles. This is all about what you're going to invest in. And it's also about the 80-20 principle kind of in life. You know how like sometimes things, if you're trying to do something, instead of demanding absolute perfection of yourself or of someone else, do like, 80-20. So like 80% good behavior, 20% bad behavior. All right. So they don't kind of lose track of things. Okay, the next card that I've got for you. Ooh, 5 of Swords. So this is about, right now leaning into, there's a lot of drama to be had. So, this is a mental card. So it's kind of like figuring out, what the best strategies are for something. You might want to pick your battles. If you're around somebody that likes to argue and spar and debate, and that's, that can be interesting, but it can also be tiresome. So think about how you want to spend your time. And next card I have for you is the Empress reversed. So yeah, this is like, are you, whether you're, whatever gender you are, are you caring for yourself? This is also, with the 5 of Swords and the Empress reverse, this is also like, are we, there's other things going on. These are political things going on about women's bodies and people's bodies and, what we're willing to do for ourselves. And I'm of the mind that, God puts all of us here, or the goddess, whatever the higher power you want to call it. We are put here with our own marching orders, our own purpose, our own destinies to fulfill our own calling. And so I don't feel like any of us have the right to tell anybody else what that means for them. That's between them and their creator and what's in their heart. And it is not for anyone else to stick their nose into somebody else's business. It's just, okay, so I'm giving you your astrological, your cosmic part of the intuitive cocktail. So I've given you the cards, and now I'm going over this interesting, these aspects right now, the transits. So the first one I mentioned earlier, which is Neptune at 0 degrees in Aries, which is only going to happen now, and then it won't happen again for 165 years. It's kind of a little bit of a longer planet transit, so make the most of it. Really reboot what matters to you. Aries is so great for making a bold, fresh start in anything. It's just like if you want to make something different, if you want to change things up, this is the time to do it. It's great. And with Neptune, it's your intuition, and it's music, poetry, it's art, it's film, it's all the things that go with creative expression. And April's kind of the diva month anyway. We've got, even though Lady Gaga's birthday is not technically in April, she's in Aries, and I just feel like Aries is such beautiful diva energy. It's the people that really have the great visionary ideas, and they just are such unique entertainers, performers, people who have their moons in Aries or their ascendant in Aries. People that have major aspects in Aries are always really interesting to watch and to see what they come up with as well. And then the moon is at 13 degrees and 16 degrees in Gemini. For Jupiter, the moon's at 13, Jupiter's at 16 degrees. So they're conjunct in Gemini, which is great for expanding communication, especially local communication and online communication. It's just, it's all about connection and expanding your ability to communicate and express yourself, and that creative expression, especially doing something like using your hands, playing an instrument, writing, anything that has to do with like kind of like your touch points, finding new touch points, especially with this Neptune and Aries. Find new touch points to connect with people, ways to move people, to get your point across. We've also got, in Pisces, we've got Mercury and Venus both retrograde, but conjunct in Pisces, and then Saturn in Pisces, which is not retrograde, and the North Node in Pisces. So it's a lot of that energy of really, Pisces is the last astrological sign. It can be very, very spiritual. Pisces are usually extremely intuitive. Okay, and so I set these timers so I don't go too long. The goal is to do this in under 3 minutes, but so far I've just not been able to quite accomplish that. So, goals. We've also got, of course, and this is going to be the case for quite a while, we've got Pluto at 3 degrees in Aquarius. So, and then, we've got Mars in Cancer. And so it's a trine for Venus and Mercury. So it's a really positive aspect, easy aspect. So like, it's not really a chemistry aspect, it's kind of like, bromance vibes, or girls' night vibes, if that's not your, it's not really like romance kind of stuff. It's more buddies. And, with Uranus in Taurus, which is kind of like, let's disrupt everyone at home. It's like, like disrupting people's security. So that is the one aspect that's just been kind of constant for quite a while now, because it's an outer planet, so it moves more slowly. And, it is a planet that during the American Revolution, the French Revolution, was in the same position. And there's a lot of friction that built up. Of course, the same with Pluto. So you've got this ideological aspect with Neptune at 0 degrees in Aries that is kind of bumping heads with some of this stuff. So, and it's obvious, unless you're in a cave and you completely disregard all media, you're going to know that there's a lot of stuff going on that people are quite upset about. And I'm also upset about it, but I'm trying to focus on things that, what are the constructive things that we can do to bring about the changes that we want. And I think it's a good thing that this has happened, only because I really cherish democracy, a government that is of the people, by the people, for the people, with not having a bunch of corporate interests in there. And I know that our Congress at one point in the last decade or so voted that corporations are people, so they're allowed to sue for personal insults, etc. Which is, and then we've got people suing the media, which is a violation of First Amendment rights. I'm very into the Constitution as it was written. I think that we've also seen a rise in, people bullying people and people trying to control people. And especially there's been a lot of violence against women and marginalized groups. And, there's just a lot of things that are, not the way that we want. They're moving backwards instead of forwards. And so it's time, with these new, when we come around this, like, we're supposed to have evolved. And I feel like our, the founders, when they wrote the Constitution, they had come from being oppressed by monarchy. And they were like, we don't ever want that. We want something that's totally not ever going to be that. So they put all these things in place that are not partisan, like the attorney generals and the checks and balances, between the three branches of the government. So, you know, I mean, if you know anything about the way that our government works, and I don't want to go all into that, but this is very much, these aspects have to do with, they are political, you know, and they're also, the personal is political. It's like that, you know, statement by Michel Foucault, the French philosopher, you know. So it's kind of like, let's decide what we want as far as like, you know, it's a good call to awareness, you know, at that, and realizing that as an individual, what you do matters. So if you really want to be controlled by someone so that you don't have to make decisions and they can just tell you what to do and you don't have to think about it, then, you know, maybe an authoritarian situation is for you. If you want big religion to like, that isn't a loving religion, but a controlling religion to restrict people and erase people's, you know, history and stuff, if that's where you're at, then, you know, that's the way that it's headed. Okay. But if you're not into that, which I'm not into that, I don't like being controlled, you know, and I don't like trying to control other people. I want other people to make their own decisions, and I want them to be able to move toward their destiny as the universe, God, Goddess, Jesus, the, you know, the higher, whoever your higher power is, meant for us to. And nobody should be like, you know, getting in your business like that. So that's kind of where the balance is right now, astrologically. And, you know, as we know, when Uranus moves more in toward Gemini, that's where it was when there were these revolutions. So, you know, I don't think we're going to have like these heavy revolutions, you know, that were like the French Revolution where everyone's heads were rolling and all that at all. You know, this month, as this month rolls along, we've got some other things coming up. We've got some of these planets going direct. Mercury goes direct on the 7th. Venus goes direct on the 12th. Also, we've got, which is just so elegant, I love the way the universe just works. On the 12th, when Venus goes direct, we've also got a full moon in Libra. And because, you know, Venus rules Libra, it's just such a great aspect for, you know, beauty, getting together with your friends and being very social, doing some music, going to see a play, going to an art gallery opening, making art. Art is more important now than ever. Art's always important. That's why they don't want to pay creators, but it's because they don't want us to live. They want us to be so busy trying to make a living that we have no time to create, and our brains are completely stressed, so we can't think about in a creative way. So just know that like all the worry, all the despair vibes, all the stress vibes, you can channel those into creative projects, but if you do not channel them, they are the antithesis of creativity. They will eat your creative brain. And so basically that's what it's, that's a sciencey way to say it. So anyway, as far as rituals to use these vibes, you know, Neptune is very watery. Pisces is very watery. Beach or bath or lake, or, you know, water is very soothing right now. Showers, scents, you know, liquid things, oils, teas. If you are not sober, you know, bubbly things, you know. I personally love a good potion myself, like, you know, work with some herbs. I'm a very kitchen-y kind of girl, so I like to bake things, and, you know, it's a great time to get together with people and just really cherish your friends and your family and your community, and think about what you can do together to make the world a more beautiful, enlightened place. And that's it. So that's your cosmic intuitive cocktail. So many blessings, happiness, love, and you know, remember, love yourselves and love the people around you, and send love to the world. Love is never going to be wrong, and it's often into short supply. So send love wherever you can.